Yesterday, we looked at the reality that life is filled with so much waiting. And while we're waiting, God is working. But sometimes while we're waiting and God is working, we can forget that we're waiting. I have this vivid memory in my mind of a time I was heading home. I had actually been on a work trip and I got on a bus. I was just dropped a rental car off. I was on a bus. I'm going to the airport and that bus is going to drop me off. And while I'm waiting, I start working on my phone. So I start responding to texts and emails. And there's a stop that I'm supposed to get off at, but I am looking down at my phone and fail to recognize I'm at my stop. And this is like a 20-minute loop. So after realizing that I missed my stop, I had to wait another 20 minutes to get off at my stop. Now, thankfully, I had enough margin and I didn't miss my flight. But I learned in that moment that sometimes when we're waiting, we can forget what we're waiting for. This was the case for Israel. The Israelites had been waiting for a Messiah for hundreds and hundreds of years. Prophecies had been spoken about the coming of Jesus. In Isaiah chapter 9, I want you to see these words, "For a child is born unto us, a son is given to us. The government will rest on his shoulders, and he will be called Wonderful Counselor, Mighty God, Everlasting Father, Prince of Peace. His government and its peace will never end. He will rule with fairness and justice from the throne of his ancestor David for all eternity." Now that was a prophecy about the coming of the Messiah. So when God splits time and the angel comes to Mary and gives her this prophecy that the Messiah is going to be born, people weren't ready. There were so many hearts that weren't prepared for this moment. In fact, if we go back to the story as we looked at yesterday, the angel said this about Jesus as he was speaking about the coming of Jesus to Mary. It says, "He'll be very great and he'll be called the Son of the Most High. The Lord God will give him the throne of his ancestor David, and he will reign over Israel forever. His kingdom will never end." Now, there was this waiting for the Messiah that was happening. And now is that moment when he's here. But so many people missed it. So many people's heads were down. They were busy with their life. In fact, John speaks of this and says he, Jesus, came into the very world he created. The world didn't recognize him. He came to his own people, and even his own people rejected him. Now, I want to encourage you this holiday season, as we wait for Christmas Day, to not let yourself get distracted with the busyness of this season. And perhaps there's a distraction that's warring against you focusing on God. What is that thing? What is that distraction that stands in the way, if you're not careful, will make you miss the very thing that you're waiting for? I want to encourage you to journal about that today. To ask the question, what am I waiting for, as we looked at yesterday, but what is also the thing that has the potential to distract me from what I long for most, that I'm waiting for the most? We'll come back tomorrow continuing to unpack this whole idea of waiting and the Christmas story. But for today, just camp on that question. What is the thing that has the potential to distract you from what matters most?